Yeah, what's up, Donovan?
How's it going?
Hey, it's only good watching before I got you.
Totally forgot there's traffic and stoplights.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, I just got overzealous with setting an appointment early this morning, thinking that I could get here within an hour.
Oh, that's alright.
Let's get some punch in it. How was your morning?
It was good.
Good morning.
Now, what's your vision? Just same thing, razor fade or whatever?
Yeah, razor fade, mid,
Okay,
Yeah,
I got
there's-
you.
natural hairline
Wait, where did you come from?
from Laguna.
Oh, wow. Oh, this morning you did?
Yeah,
And so was there a lot of traffic or?
a lot of traffic, a lot of stop signs, and I
Oh.
was hitting red lights.
And so what's it, about an hour drive?
Just about, depending on how much road rage I have, can get here. But normally, I usually can get to the boundaries of Albuquerque within like 40 minutes at most.
And what are the boundaries of Albuquerque? Like, where is?
For me, I consider like 98th Street the boundary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is when I know that I'm officially in the
Wait,
city.
so it's each. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, made it. Of course, it's developed beyond that, but that's kind of my general guideline
Yeah, I agree.
where I usually tell people where I'm at. And people generally understand what I'm trying to articulate to them.
And so how are you liking the bar?
I like it. It seems as though that it's breaking in a lot like very nicely. I'm not as skittish driving it.
Wait, oh yeah, just because of how fast it is and everything.
Yeah, so I'm getting used to the horsepower and the torque.
Nice.
I'm not making hard stops as often.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just a lot lighter than the Forerunner, that's why.
Well, and it has a better motor and everything too.
Uh-huh. Did you ever move forward with that car then?
You know what? It hasn't even came in yet,
Okay.
which is weird. It's like, geez, 2 weeks turned into 2 months. It was,
Oh yeah.
so it's like,
That's not good. That's kind of a red flag, huh? If they
I'm
were-
still kind of wondering though too, like I'm still hesitating, like do I wait on that 7 Series electric one? Since that was the car that I always wanted, like even more than the M5 and everything was that, you know, the 7 Series a long time ago was like the car that I liked, and it's a real while. Like that electric one has that TV in it and everything that drops down and
Uh-huh. I would probably wait if that's what your gut instinct is telling you to.
yeah. I don't know about that green color though. That's the
Okay.
only thing that I was a little tiny bit.
It's not your thing.
Nah, they say it's special though. It's like a green metallic or whatever. No, that's the green one. And it's like,
I've just always liked the color green, so that's just my bias.
well, I mean, I like it too. I just that one I don't. It's like I really want to have it in gray or whatever,
Uh-huh.
or maybe you know another. Just depending on. And you got lucky to get yours because it's like, you know, rare that you see them at the dealership or anything.
I know, I
You
don't.
almost have to order it.
Well, I was just really obsessing over, like, just revisiting the website on a daily basis to kind of see what was, being added and being removed. Pretty much a day or so when they were adding them onto the website, and I had noticed that these models were just kind of sitting pretty on their website for a while, and I had wondered why, but I didn't come across any sort of negative feedback or reviews because of them. I just think that BMW is kind of classically seen as more of like the bigger type sedan model,
Yeah, it
like,
is.
going from like the Model 3 and up.
Oh, why is yours bigger than a Model 3 or whatever?
Oh no, it's a lot smaller, but I'm just kind of populating that the M3 and larger are pretty much what your average individual.
Oh, I see what
is
you're
looking-
saying. More
is looking at.
commonly
Yeah.
sold or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But not. I mean, more commonly sold. Just to be humble, I would say are probably the regular like 3 series and the regular 5 series or whatever, like the 328 or whatever. Like not really the M3 or whatever, because like they never really get like a whole abundance of those particular cars. Have you noticed that they weren't getting a bunch of like you rarely see them get an M5, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you hardly like. Did you see any M3s or no?
No,
didn't?
no, not at all.
Yeah,
and
you
I've
see
been
what I
looking.
mean?
I've been watching that website pretty much for 3 months.
Oh yeah. But 3 months prior to when you bought this one,
Yeah.
or still looking at the website. Have you been on the website?
I have,
Okay.
and the only model that came out with an M Sport package is like the M6, M5,
Oh, yeah.
M6, and
And when did you see that one, if I might ask? Was that one a couple months ago?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
I
one.
saw that one. It was gray or whatever. Yeah. That one seemed kind of big.
It is huge.
Yeah, I was like, shit.
There's really no reason for me to
Driving
have
the
a car.
Titanic, it was like, my God.
Yeah,
Shit. Driving Miss Daisy, it's like fucking. That's the only hesitancy where I have to see the 7 in person too, because it's so big.
hmm
It's like, damn. And not that it's like wide, but it's very long.
yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
One of my coworkers is also thinking about pulling the trigger too.
And what is she gonna get? Like an SUV and everything?
She's looking at a 3 model.
For the car?
Yeah,
Or
it's
X3?
just like a little sedan car.
Oh, yeah.
But for her, it's more of like a want. And I guess in retrospect, a luxury car would always be considered a want rather than a need. Personally.
Wait,
So that's
did you
where-
say an electric car?
a luxury car?
Oh, a luxury car
Yeah.
is a want more than a need.
Yeah.
I mean, it is and it isn't. It
Yeah.
is, but it also isn't because okay. So imagine you have to drive the car every day.
Yeah.
So what do you want to be in? It's like I could see if you have like just 2 cars and it's like you, but you're on a different level. But I'm just saying it's like most people like it's you have 1 car or whatever, and it's like, what do I want to get to work in every day? A Toyota Prius or or the Jeep SRT or an M Series BMW. It's like, well, I'll take the Jeep or the M Series.
Yeah, so I think it's circumstantial then. I mean, she has a Chevy Tahoe, she has a Chevy Trail Boss. She also has like 2 other utility trucks.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, she could definitely afford them for sure.
Yeah, she was telling me her husband though, however, is just kind of questioning whether or not she can actually afford it.
Oh, yeah, get rid of the damn truck.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the BMW.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't see you in a truck. Sorry to say, I couldn't see me in a truck. It was like
Yeah.
I just don't. It's not. I don't like that vibe. It's like you're way too high up, and then it's like I just don't. Dude, I'm not hauling around sand and dirt, and I'm never going to be at a construction site, so I could never see the value for maybe you because you live over there in Laguna and everything.
Yeah.
But you have that's what you have your foreigner for.
Uh-huh. I almost got a Trail Boss model too, but I just couldn't.
What is the Trail Boss model? What does that mean? Because I don't know what that is.
It's just basically a more sportier, lifted Chevy Silverado model at a higher price
Oh,
point.
so it is a truck.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're around like 60,000, but
yeah.
my issue was having to pay $60,000 for upholstery seating and outdated technology. So,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the drawback for
That's a
me.
good, I mean, fair enough point.
Yeah.
And really, trail buffs or not, and they say, oh yeah, it's this and that, it isn't as luxurious as your car on the inside. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. I like driving trucks. My mom has a farm truck. It's a Ford 250.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
The older one and everything.
Yeah, so they're
Cool.
really fun to drive.
Oh yeah. They're probably not very fast though and everything.
No,
Like at a top speed or whatever.
no, I mean, it's a gas guzzler, but she just uses it for like basically what I would never usually essentially do is like haul dirt. She has a couple of friends down on the reservation who are desert farmers, so that's how she chooses to spend her time outside of work. Is just going to the cornfields and helping wherever she's needed.
What is a desert farmer? Somebody just farms desert produce or?
So desert farming really is about understanding how to grow crop in dry desert land. Farming around seasons that are typically monsoon season, really not relying on the creature comforts that a city could provide a farm. So it's just different in the respects where they have to be very mindful and careful of how much crop they raise and what is sustainable. So you'll usually typically see produce like zucchini, watermelon, corn, wheat, all really being produced in quantities down on the reservation.
Oh, wow.
And typically they don't farm vegetables for profit. It's usually provided for community members or for religious ceremonies.
That's weird. I wonder why. They don't like sell it or whatever.
But that's just the mentality of living on tribal, on reservations. If there's an abundance
Just because you
of
can
food,
make money and everything.
yeah, I mean, if there's an abundance of food, they're going to hand it out to their relatives or family members who.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so in hindsight, farming kind of just gives back to the community in a very organic way.
Nice.
And then a lot of the vegetables are used for religious ceremonies. So it's very typical for families who are sponsoring a person participate in religious ceremonies to provide and feed food to community members.
Oh, wow.
So like right now we're basically in feast season and religious ceremony seasons.
Yeah.
And there are about 7 villages that have different cycles. And right now we're kind of getting into the winter cycle where a lot of villages are now preparing for the village ceremonies. So it's a paternal ceremony where it's just really nothing but traditional men are able to participate, and the responsibility of women is to provide food and shop and open up their homes to families and friends. And so you'll see, or it's very common, I should say, rather, for families to spend probably close to $2,000 to $3,000 on food, produce.
We're having a nice little
Yeah, so
and everything.
oh yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah, and it's pretty scary now. I mean, it makes me angry that our governor is now sending the language across that everything is okay. But because I've been responsible for our database that oversees all of the quarantine households, there's a lot of fluctuations and obvious coincidences that people tend to go into quarantine for when we're participating in ceremonies
Oh wow.
and attending these huge gatherings. So there's still that added stress.
It's a religious gathering though.
What's that?
It's considered a religious gathering, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
is,
it's,
and I get that we really can't fight tradition down there, but it's also very difficult that our governor, who is a part of the community, is basically saying everything is okay, you have nothing to worry about.
Why is she saying that?
Governorship is usually held by a male.
Oh yeah.
He's always been this governor has been specifically a person who has always had questionable belief systems. He's never remained neutral with how he leads the community, and right now he has leaned on the basis of relying on his second in command, and his second in command pretty much doesn't believe that COVID exists.
Oh well.
Yeah, so there's
Well, it does.
It does.
Sorry to break that news to you. It was
Yeah.
like, it does exist. It was.
Yeah. So that's where like the disconnect is for me, is that I mean, traditionally when people pass away, you know, it's a family thing. I mean, we just don't bury them. It's a drawn out process.
And so, what is the process?
So when someone dies, within boundaries, each family comes from different clan systems, and each clan system has either a clan mother or a clan father. So the first day after the initial passing, the clan mothers will go into the home the person occupied, and they will clean out the entire house, meaning they'll wipe down all the walls, they'll wash dishes, basically trying to get rid of all the remnants of that person, because if you don't, there's a belief that if the person stays, it'll invade the bodies of the little ones, like the innocents.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a protective traditional measure that the clan mothers are responsible for.
Invade the body and do what though? Like, what would that belief be?
The belief behind that is that children are seen as, I mean, are obviously innocent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't necessarily always like to remember the person, because the person is honored throughout this entire week when we're trying to, you know, pass them on into the afterlife. So the fear behind that is the soul or the body of the soul of that person will latch onto an innocent person, and it'll make that person sick.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so more traditional leaders and spiritualists, they take every precaution to avoid that. So that's really the duty behind the clan mothers. And then the second day after that, there's a vigil, usually held at the godmother's home, where family members will visit and watch over the body for the entire night. So you'll see relatives basically living in the camping out in the home, camping outside of the home, outside of base and protecting the body.
Nice.
And then the third day is the actual burial. Whether this person believed in Christianity or not, that would be incorporated based on their belief systems. So there would be a traditional burial, and then a traditional vigil followed by the Christian part of it, and then from there the burials will happen, and then the following day all the family relatives will then go to the home where our spiritual leaders will basically have this cleansing ceremony to clean us up, that person, so that we're not having to carry and bear the weight of sadness, their spirit within us, so that we could move on healthy. And then just kind of just wrap it up.
Yeah, so it's a few days or whatever.
It's a long process. My mom and I had an older sister. She passed from cancer in 2019. My mom didn't have a relationship with her. And it wasn't her fault. It was my dad's fault for just being this big asshole, egotistical person who pretty much convinced my entire family that it was my mom's fault for everything. For basically the breakdown of the marriage, when they, turned a blind eye to all of his infidelity and affairs that he had with my mom. So she fed into that, unfortunately, and so my sister didn't have a relationship with my mom, for like 15 years. And then fast forward 15 years, my sister found out she had cancer.
Jeez.
We had to put feelings aside and we had to prepare a ceremony for her. And that's another added expense because she lived out in Atlanta. She has 3 kids and her home is out there. And it's basically a stressful situation because we had to figure out how to get her from there to here overnight. Because when you are born and raised in your homeland, we take every step to make sure that person is brought back home and placed in the earth where they grew up.
Oh, well.
So I was born and raised in Mesita Village with my family, so that's where she rests right now.
Wait, you were born and raised where?
In Laguna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's Mesita Village, there's Laguna Village, Parahi, Pawadi, Casablanca. They're basically like suburbs,
Oh, yeah.
if you want to think of it that way. They
Suburbs of the village or whatever.
the main village of Laguna, yes.
Are there better suburbs than others or not really?
I'm very neutral about it, but there are traditional leaders that that hold office in each of these villages. So of course there's this superiority complex. These messages sent across that my village is more traditional, more spiritual than the others. So I mean, there's obviously some leaders out there who communicate that across to their village community members, but.
Hey, do you want to have, how much you want to take off the top?
Just a little bit, not a whole lot, just
Right.
just to even it out.
And do you want to have a hard part in the lineup or?
No to both.
Okay. I didn't think so. I just in case we watch her make this. Right, I think today was the first day of Balloon Fiesta and everything.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I saw that in the news.
Safer came and passed pretty quickly. I didn't realize that it was here until after the fact.
And you've been coming to this shop for a while.
Yeah.
Like now that I'm noticing it's been a minute, the seasons are even turning and everything. It's like, 'cause I remember even when you ordered your car, it was still like hot outside and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, even just seeing that kind of change, it was like, Jesus. Wait, so then do you have business in Albuquerque today? Or?
I just took the morning off. It's been really hard for me to prioritize my time off just because it's just been so crazy.
Oh,
There's just an issue with my boss and everyone's fighting within the department. And it's so weird, we work in a behavioral health sector, but we're like the most dysfunctional department at this point. My means of avoiding all that drama altogether is just to remain isolated and just stick my nose in the books and take time off when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And so right now I can't take off as much time as I would like, just because there's just a lot of meetings that are focused around tribal leadership, changing over to new leadership. And right now there's this huge issue because there's currently a female holding a very important male office position.
Oh God.
So all of these old traditionalists have just been fighting back and forth, and it's really hard for you to ignore that because we're basically all related to one another, we love each other's. So that's just kind of the environment right now.
Yeah.
I've been traveling a lot back and forth to Rama.
Where's that?
Gosh, it's about a 2-hour drive from here. So our detention center is basically being renovated, and so like,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I love how my God.
so
Detention center, it's like, detention center for what? Jail?
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
and so they transferred all the inmates over to that correction facility.
Inmates in prison or jail?
Or in jail, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been traveling back and forth. I'm getting clinical assessments done there, and then working with probationers here in Laguna. So it seems like I'd be
And watch, come over this way. And so what's going on with the probationers in Laguna and everything? Like you're working with them too, or?
Oh yeah. That's kind of really where I That's kind of really where where my skill set is right now at this point.
That's actually cool.
I had this really interesting interview with a fella who had been incarcerated in Colorado for 6 years.
Oh wow.
From 17 until 22. And then just kind of a long history of being in and out of jail.
Oh wow.
And a lot of his movements and a lot of his cognitive thinking was really institutionalized. So now that he's out, a big issue with him is the struggle of basically gaining a sense of self-autonomy back. You know, having the ability to make his choices in confidence, living life like a civilian. That was a pretty captivating and profound interview that I had with this fella. I wanted to ask so much more questions just because he had a whole lot of information that he wanted to share.
Oh, really?
Let's just pull it off and deal.
And what was it? Why? What was? Yeah, it's like fucking. How come you had to stop asking the questions and everything?
Because the interview probably would have gone 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that much time.
Oh wow.
To sit with the person.
So yeah, that's crazy. And so what, is he on parole or what?
No, he's out. It's just now at this point he's hit a junction where his mental health is just kind of really frail, and he just really needs to understand, and he's needing services of what is happening, like what is happening cognitively, psychically. He's stable. I mean, he's a dad. He's a husband, but things are just kind of erupting all at once for him, unfortunately. Wow. So, and it's always great to hear that a person is reaching out for help.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Especially in his position, just
yeah, most of them won't.
Yeah.
Just saying, it's too prideful, or they don't think there's an issue, or and there is an issue. And how is he institutionalized? Like, what are those type of signs you can see that you would think?
Just like I'm hypervigilant. Choosing, he was talking about COVID being the best thing for him because he didn't have to be around people. It's just like PTSD-like symptoms,
yeah.
Avoidance, a lot of memories invading his cognitive. Oh wow.
Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Sick. Now watch here. I want you to stand up and look. Just to watch here.
Okay.
All right. Just to look in the mirror to make sure that. Watch. Look over here and then you can see. Let's see what you think.
Oh yeah.